welcome to my little video today, just talking about, is AMS2 worth purchasing in 2026? And the short answer, very short answer, is yes. There are some nuances to that question that overall I think it is obviously most definitely worth purchasing if you are a PC sim racer. But there are some little things in there that if you were looking for straight up online wheel-to-wheel competitiveness and more of a online community built around racing, there are other sims out there that do that better in my opinion. But that's not what I play AMS2 for, and I think that's not what a lot of other people play AMS2 for. And where it shines is the offline racing, and most definitely the amount of content and the bang for the buck you get in this sim is simply impeccable. Not many other sims for this price tag give you this amount of content, and even if you do need to purchase DLCs, the purchase of them DLCs are very cheap in comparison to other sims. You know, I think it's £9, and you know, you provide multiple tracks and multiple cars for that amount of money. And Razer have done a brilliant job recently of the physics and the driving feel. The last year or so, since 1.6, it's been a very steady improvement, and I think AMS2 as a whole has sometimes got quite a bad rap for the physics and that floaty feeling. And in my opinion, as long as you're not trying to push the cars to their absolute limit every single lap, and you do sort of treat the tyres correctly with temps and wear, I think the cars are very drivable and extremely fun to drive. And with me personally, I use a custom force feedback file from Daniel Cart. I will leave it in the description below. It's well worth a download. It improved my Fanatec wheelbase to no end, and I definitely think it's a big and an important upgrade if you are going to be doing it. It's very easy. You simply drag and drop the text file into your AMS2 documents folder, and you just start the sim up and select custom force feedback. It's very easy to do. There are a lot of tutorials online. You'll be able to find some out there that will help you get it set up. And it brings us on to our next point. The AI in this sim are incredible in my opinion. There are very few sims out there that do AI as good as AMS2 does. They have their moments, I should say. I have the mistakes multiplier set to 5 just because I like that more of a unpredictability in my races, especially with my content that is more story driven and race driven. I think it is important to me to see mistakes and, you know, maybe making up a few places here and there, and I think that implementation by AMS2 and Razer Studios is incredible when you compare it to other sims. I think racing against them, as long as you give them enough space and you're respectful and you do treat them more as a, you know, online component, as if you were going to wheel to wheel with other sim racers, it's definitely an easy sim to jump in, turn on, and have some great battling with the AI, and it is definitely one of the bonuses of this incredible sim. They do have their moments. I've noticed more and more with spending time on the sim that unfortunately they seem to do a sort of rubber banding, I've noticed, into braking zones where they seem to be, if they are close enough to you, be able to brake extremely late and throw it into spaces that isn't particularly realistic if you're not compliant to them making that move. But overall, the AI is extremely impressive, and it's definitely a plus for the sim. And the amount of content in AMS2 in 2026 with just the base content alone. There is plenty for you to jump in and do a bit of racing on. That includes tracks and cars, and even more so with the DLCs that Razer released that are very, very good in the terms of bang for your buck. As I've said at the start of the video, you get a lot of cars and tracks, and you can go anywhere from mid-70s all the way up to 2005 endurance cars and F1 content and IMSA, WEC, GT3, the stock cars. Have just released a NASCAR DLC. There is plenty for you to get your teeth into in this simulator in 2026, and as I've previously said, the amount of money you have to spend to get that content is extremely low, and it's very well produced. They don't just throw out en masse. Every car that they release has its own set of physics and engine sounds, and everything in between is very, very impressive. Another thing that this sim does that many other fall slightly short of is graphics and immersion. Graphics isn't a great importance to me in gaming or sim racing. I play anything from GTR2 to R Factor 2, and they are not the most graphically intense games, but it does add to the immersion factor that this game looks so good while you are driving, and it helps you immerse yourself even more when you're dipping your toe into any sort of historic racing, or like we're doing today in these LMP2s, modern style multi-class racing. The immersion factor and the graphics are definitely a bonus in the terms of looks and feel when you're in the cockpit of the car. So overall, I think the sim is well worth it in 2026. I don't think many other simulators do it quite like AMS2. It does have its problems, which I will get to at the end of the video, but overall for me and on my channel, and I think for other sim racers that do the same sort of racing that I do on a weekly basis, AMS2 ticks a lot of boxes, and it's incredibly impressive that you can, for the amount of variety on the game, the fact that you can just jump in, make a few little tweaks to AI, and you are straight into a race, and you can pick up wherever you want, whatever year or style of racing that you enjoy. And for my channel, the type of content that I create, which is a lot more story driven and historical racing, it's definitely an impressive sim, and I couldn't say enough good things about it if you are wanting that sort of style of simulator in 2026. And now we're going to talk about just a few of the things that I believe the game need to improve. Moving forward into 2026, I know there has been talk about the career mode and other things, and they're constantly updating the physics and adding new content. But I think as a community of offline sim racers, we would enjoy a mid-session save, especially if you're into endurance style racing. I know for me personally and many others out there, it is extremely hard to get the time to sit down and do a 2.5 hour race or an hour race where you can't save it and go and do other things and come back again. The career mode, there is currently already a championship mode in the game that is adequate enough, and you can set it up, especially if you want to do a 96 season in Formula 1, or like I said, modern racing like we're doing today in this LMP2 sort of WEC IMSA series. But the career mode is something we're all looking forward to getting our teeth into and seeing what it's like and what they've got in store for us in 2026. And I think AMS2 as a sim as a whole needs to stick to what it does best. I think the little niche markets and the nuances, the recent pack they did of the 2005 endurance racing is just incredible, and I think it was a time, especially if you weren't into games like GTR2 of the time, or you missed that era of sim racing, it's definitely impressive and a fun era to jump into. And AMS2 does it incredibly well as a sim. For me personally, I think this game does it great, and I'll be doing a lot more content on it in the future. So thank you for sticking around, leave a like and a subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.